Hi, friends. Welcome to the Mastermind Moments podcast.
Hosted by your pals, Josh and Sasha.
Join us during our weekly mastermind as we collaborate on how to make the most out of our lives.
Not only are we going to mastermind our careers, we're going to work on all areas of life together.
Let's do it. Listen in as we make the most of our mastermind moments.
Hello. Welcome to this episode of Mastermind Moments. Just a heads up for you guys, we ended up losing the last about 5-10 minutes of Josh's audio. So long story short, he, needs to schedule in some joy and some rest time, and getting him off of some screens is going to help his sleep and help his routine. But I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. There's a lot of nuggets of wisdom. There's a lot of me just talking about my life, and I hope you guys enjoy. Bye. Hi, hello.
Hello.
It's so nice to chat with you one-on-one because we've been having a lot of guests on, and I love our guests so much, and I feel like it's just amazing nuggets of wisdom and really great conversations, but it's also just so good to chat, just us.
I agree. Yeah, I feel like we've said this so many times, but our chats are like a therapy session. Whereas I feel like having guests on, it's more, obviously it's all about them, which I love. And we get so much an incredible insight, especially some of the ones we've had recently have been just amazing.
So good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed them, but it is nice to chat one-on-one.
Yeah, absolutely. For anyone listening, I was today listening to the Danny Curtis episode. Oh my God, that hit me. That just came out. And then the Venu episode we just recorded, that was so good. Some of them are just amazing.
Yeah, really good. There's some in particular. I feel like my girlfriend should probably listen to every single episode.
Yeah.
I definitely would. I want to know what my girlfriend is saying about me. But she doesn't. And I have specifically said, listen to this one and this one and this one, and like given recommendations, especially when we've had guests on.
Yeah.
And she just listened to the one with Brigitte and she loved it. And yeah, there's so many golden episodes out there now.
Yeah, the Brigitte one was so good. I'll never forget that moment when you were like, okay, I looked at you the whole time because you need to hear this right now.
Yeah, it's funny how it works, isn't it? It's always the way with the podcast. You've spoken about how the things we say on here manifest into reality. But it's also just the things that happen and the subjects and the topics that come up when we're talking, and with guests especially.
Yeah.
It just happens to be what's going on in our lives and perfect timing to discuss these topics. Yeah, this podcast is full of magic.
Seriously, it's all just magic. And I think, I don't know if it's purely because we're doing this out of just pure love and fun. It could be that, but also I think it's so crazy. Yes, every time we say something, it like manifests in some strange way, either when it's posted or when it's on social media. And then same thing with the guests, like everything that they say, it's like one of us needs to hear it, but also at the same time, that means that someone in our audience also needs to hear it as well. And I feel that same way, like when you and I are talking, that I just figure someone else is going through something similar, or at least they can apply what we're talking about to their lives, something like that. But that's like the whole point of podcasting. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, the Brigitte one was really good too.
Yeah, put the content out there, and if it even helps one person, then we're doing something right.
Exactly. And really crazy to see all of our Tony Robbins fam like coming through and listening and like coming on the pod. Like we just love like having this community around. It's been amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think also doing the podcast and having these guests on that we've had, which we've had, quite a few now, it makes me feel so grateful to be a part of this community. And it's just I haven't been particularly involved in the community for quite a long time now, but having these conversations, and obviously we've spoken always for a long time now, but getting all of these people on is just such a strong reminder of how impactful that community has been and how impactful Tony Robbins and the events have been to my life and our lives. And yeah, really blessed to be a part of that.
Oh, I love this community so much. It's so incredible, and it's been really nice to like have people on, and I'm just obsessed with it. So before we get into all of the craziness, because I literally texted Josh this morning, I was like, are we still recording today? Because I'm going through it. But before we get into everything, let's spin a wheel. Growth. How do you stay motivated to pursue personal improvement? What do you think?
So growth is quite an odd one for me because over the years I've always struggled to measure it. We spoke about measurable goals, but I think in terms of the wheel of life and about how you measure those and the success in those areas, obviously it differs from person to person. But I think one of the more subjective areas of the wheel, for me anyway, is growth. Because every year when I'm writing down my wheel and my manifesto, I look at it and I'm like, so how do you measure this? How would you measure growth? Where does that come from for you?
How do I measure growth? I don't know. That's a great question. I say as far as my wheel of life with with the goals I put into the growth area, a lot of times it's like skills I wanted to pick up or it's mindsets that I want to embody. And I don't know if it's something particularly that you can measure. And this is kind of goes back to our 2024 or 2025, 2026 goal episode where we were like, how the hell do you measure some of these things? I actually I took everything, all of those goals, and I put them into ChatGPT or AI, and I said, can you please brainstorm ways to make these all measurable and trackable? And for each one, it came up with an idea or an idea about how to make it measurable and trackable. So even if it's like an intention, even if you get halfway there where it's, oh, my intention is to be in like a flow state and not a force state, like how the fuck do you measure that? So throw that into AI and be like, can you brainstorm some ways for me? But for me,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know, like the goals and intentions I set there, they're typically around like skills I want to pick up, or I always put my French goal in my personal growth because it's like, where else are you going to put that? That is like a personal development thing. Or my books, like my book goal always goes into personal growth because where else are you going to put that?
Yeah, I think for me, every single time I write out what growth looks like, it's about reading. Because for me, reading, I don't really read fiction. So I think when I read, I think about learning, I think about growth in that aspect. And so I think for me, growth is about what I've learned and my pursuit of learning new things. Yeah, that's how I define it always. So how do I stay motivated to do that? Honestly, I would say my growth score is always pretty low because I don't I don't really pursue it. I don't really go after it actively.
Yeah.
I think the way I look at it is if I'm improving in every other area of my wheel or in certain other areas in particular, then my growth is going to naturally come alongside that. So if every area of my wheel is ticking, then my
Yeah.
growth will be ticking as well. But then there are, of course, certain things you can do. And I think this year is a big year for growth for me. I think that is really one of the big themes of my year is growth. And so what does that look like? I think it's been just pushing myself out of my comfort zone and doing new things and doing things that I never thought was possible. For me, obviously, we do this every week. And I was going to say, standing in front of a camera is really uncomfortable for me. And this is slightly different though, because I'm not talking to a camera. So what
Yeah.
I've started doing over the last month and talking to a camera, the first couple of weeks, and even now, really, I stand in front of the camera and my heart is racing. It's like I'm about to meet like a multi-billionaire CEO and pitch my business idea to them. Like my
Yeah.
heart is fucking racing
Yeah.
and I get super anxious, super nervous. And it's things like that, just pushing myself out of my comfort zone and doing things that previously I would have just procrastinated the whole time.
Yeah, 100%. This is a huge thing for you this year is the growth, and it's a lot of times doing the things that's uncomfortable. And growth for me was like my focus last year. It's still a focus now. It's never not a focus. It's obviously part of the wheel of life, but last year was inherently like a top priority for me to grow as much as possible. And for me, it was just like pushing myself outside of my comfort zone and being so intentional about that and being like, oh, this thing makes me uncomfortable, or this is the pattern that I've done so far in my life that's kept me comfortable and it's inhibiting me in some way or it's limiting me in some way. How can I challenge that actively? If it was, oh, my comfort zone is being around people, let's go to Zion National Park for 10 days and not talk to another human soul for 10 days. Or something I'm going through right now with which we can totally get into is like the romance thing with, oh, every romantic partner I've had has been progressed from not knowing the person to being romantically involved that are 10 days or less. How can I implement a 10-day rule where I don't consider anything until I've known the person 10 days? things like that. Anytime something is actively making me uncomfortable or it's a pattern that's inherently limiting me, actively challenging that thing and seeing what kind of growth happens on the other side. But that's like how my approach has been, is just going towards discomfort really actively. As far as how I stay motivated to do it, I don't know. Honestly, I just think it's like a piece of who I am as a person. Maybe it's like growing up through the Tony Robbins environment.
But I think that's why I'm struggling to answer it as well, because I don't think I actively think about growth,
Yeah.
and I don't think I actively push myself to stay motivated about it, because I think I've grown up with it. I've grown up in a growth environment surrounded by people who are so focused on growth. And we spoke with Vinu about your peers, and who you surround yourself with is who you become. And it's incredibly true in our case. We've been around the Tony Robbins environment, and as you say, most of your sort of closest friends now are still from that environment. And it's less so for me. I've distanced myself a little bit, but I'm still incredibly heavily influenced throughout my teens, throughout my formative years. It was my peer group. And so I think as a result, growth is just, I don't know, it's sort of almost like a subconscious thing.
Yeah, it's like inherently carved into who I am as a human being at this point. And it was interesting about the peer group situation with Vino. And I know this is a quote we use all the time, where it's you are an average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And the thing that I find really interesting about that is I'm like, do you measure it by, because I'm not in person with many people. Like most of my friendships, if not, I'd say 99.99% of my relationships are long distance right now. And they have been for at least over a year. I'm like, how do I measure that then? Because it's not necessarily the people I'm around. Is it the people I'm in communication with? Would I measure it by the amount of people, the number of hours I'm communicating with these people? Because that's like a very different number and a very different set of circumstances. And I'm like, how can I measure this? Because I would actually love this data. I would love this data about who are the people that I'm putting the most energy into right now. Because if it's my long distance friendships, it's so easy and I'm so intentional about them. And if it's the ones here, like it's something we had a chat about with on the Venu episode, I'm not sure. Like I'm not sure right now.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, I think, for you, especially because of the sort of variety and distance of different sort of social circles that you have. For me, it's so blatantly obvious. I surround myself with a couple of groups of friends. It's not necessarily 5 specific people, but there's a couple of groups of friends in particular I spend the most time with. And as a result, I've been forged into this person who is like them, who enjoys going out and drinking, and who enjoys just basically that, going out drinking and chatting. And that's basically my social life these days. Whereas I think, as we discussed the other day, what I would really love is more of a focus on inspiration and people who are a level above me, push me to be better. And I think that's something actually in a growth perspective I've really lacked in recent years. I've had an amazing time. My fun has been like through the roof.
Yeah.
But my growth, I think, has been really stunted by the fact that these people are not a level above me. They're either on my level or somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with you, it's an interesting one because it's not so clear cut.
It's not. Like there are people I talk to really, really regularly. And I guess maybe I base it on because I've been spending so much time in solitude recently. Maybe it's the people I'm talking to regularly. Since I've been here in San Diego, and we'll get into it, I've been hanging out with one person a lot. And who the fuck knows what's happening there. But as far as like the people I communicate with regularly, like I think that'd be really interesting to know. And I already have a handful in mind that come to mind immediately of who I talk to regularly. So maybe it's them, but it's interesting because I was thinking about, we must have talked about this years ago when I was still living in Miami. I went to a party and I realized every single person in the room was like, I was inspired by and I felt challenged by in a way where I was like, wow, I feel like the least successful person in the room. And I remember having a conversation with you here on this pod about that. And I feel like I haven't been in a room like that in a while, other than Date with Destiny, right? Which is a very different set of circumstances. I don't feel like I've been in a room like that in a while, or I don't feel like I've been in a group of friends like that in person where I'm like, wow, every single person here is inspiring me to level the fuck up.
How do you feel when you're in a room full of those people?
Full of people who inspire me to level the fuck up?
absolutely.
I remember at the time, I had like really mixed emotions about it because on one hand, I was like, okay, you're in the right room if you feel like you're the least successful person there. And in some ways, that felt really good. And then I had to take a second and look at myself and be like, actually, I do belong here because on paper, this is everything that I am. This is everything I've accomplished. And this is everything that I'm showing up with. So it felt positive in that way, but also it felt a little bit, and it was this last thing we talked about with Venu last week, where sometimes it felt a little bit like comparison. Oh my God, these people are so much further than I am. How come they're so much further than I am? And it became that comparison thing. So I had both of those, but it's been a long time since I've been in a room like that, or I've been in a room of people like experiencing that, or at least a group of friends. I'm not going to count Tony Robbins because that's like a whole different thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But as we discussed the other day as well, or as I mentioned, how do you get into that room? Because I think it's quite hard at our age, especially in 2026, with the way that the world is and with the way people live. I think it's quite difficult to find those rooms and to find those peer groups that actually that you can integrate with, that are a level above you, that inspire you, that really make you want to be better. I think we grew up incredibly lucky having that at Gills and in the Tone Robbins environment. I think we were gifted that at the time.
Yeah.
And yes, there's the Robbins environment now, which actually I think is full of that kind of person. I think, as we said the other day, it's about becoming that person and you attract it. I think it's something that I've, as I said, struggled with my peer group in recent years. And I attracted my current peer group because of the way that I was when I quit gambling. And I was seeking that fun and that party lifestyle that I never had because it was taken away from me by my addiction. But I think now I'm in a position, sounds like similar to you, where I'm craving that peer group that encourages me to level up. And it's, yeah, but that's a growth process itself, is becoming that person.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, how do you get into those rooms? I don't know. I feel like it's one of those catch-22 situations because it's like you attract what you are. So are you inspiring yourself? Are you leveling the fuck up? Are you today inspiring the person that you were yesterday? Or
Yeah.
because I remember being in that room I remember going to that party and I got into that room because like the synchronicities of how I knew all those people there was no coincidence in that room. Like it was actually crazy, like how it all came together and how it all connected. And it felt like it was finally all clicking. And then, yeah, what do you know? My life got fucking pulled out from under me in the span of one conversation. But whatever, not really close with any of those people now. So maybe it's just situational friends. But it was the peer group I was really, really looking for. And I haven't found something since then like that. But even then, like, I don't think that peer group was exactly right. Because it's like in the success area, yeah, but in the friendship area, like none of those people were really consistent with me, or none of those people were showing like mutual effort or consistent mutual effort, which is really important for me. So it was really inspiring in some ways, but then it really wasn't what I wanted perfectly in others. So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
No, it's really interesting. And to see, I mean, it's one thing, there's no point in dwelling on the past, right? All we can focus on is the present and impacting our future.
Yeah.
And it's about becoming that person to attract people who stick around as well. You don't want people who, as we were just talking about, you felt inspired by them, you thought you'd found your people, but then the moment your life kind of gets flipped upside down, they're nowhere to be seen and they're not there to support you and they're not friends at that point. So you want people who not only are going to inspire you, but they're going to be loyal.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's something just to be very intentional about. And it's something I'm thinking about a lot right now too, where this whole like music festival thing I went to last year, it was, I don't know if you remember it. I'm sure you remember it, but like it was very complicated and messy and it's happening again. And it was so much fun. And I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I was so dead set on going until today. And I'm thinking about it and I'm like, am I sick? Do I want to?
When is it?
October, but I need to make the decision in 10 days.
Yeah. And which part of you is questioning whether you want to because of what happened?
No, because I'm thinking about who these people are as a peer group, right? And I'm like, it's not about what you say yes to, it's about what you say no to. And I'm like, I had so much fun during that time. It was very messy and very complicated, and a lot happened during that weekend. And I had so much fun, and I really enjoyed the deep connection I made there. And I sit and I think about all the people now, and I'm like, I'm still friends with a couple of them, but every time I'm with these people, I just drink and party. Like, I just party my ass off. And that can be fun. That can be fun.
Yeah.
And
But
it's
these are people that you met through drinking and partying. Of course, not all of them,
in
right?
that
That's not how you got
context, in that
involved. Yeah,
context. Yeah.
but in context, that's what that peer group was ultimately in the
Yeah.
end, with the festival and the parties, and that's how I met them anyway.
Literally, that's how you met them. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it was you, possibly you. Savita's definitely said this to me. My mum's definitely said this to me. I've been through phases in the last year in particular where I'm like, I'm really outgrowing my friends, and all we do is drink and party, and I'm not such a big drinker or such a big party boy anymore. Do I want to be friends with them? And the answer has always been, they serve that purpose in your life. They are
Yeah.
the friends who you party with, who you have that kind of fun with. They're not your friends who are going to inspire you. And that's okay. They're the friends who, when you want to party, when you want to let loose, that's the purpose that they serve. They're not the ones that you're going to be running a business with, right?
Yeah.
And so that's okay. You don't have to have one group of friends, but I think it's very okay to have various groups of friends who serve different purposes.
Right. Yeah, completely. That's just something for me to sit on. And it's true. This is like the party group, and it's, do I want to be a part of it? You know, like, the partying sounds fun, and I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The dynamics are always, the dynamics with this group have been messy and complicated since the beginning.
Yeah, I know that. And so at that point, it's not even about, do you want to have that group who serves that purpose? It's about, do you want the mess and the drama that comes with it?
Yeah. Yeah. And
And I
last
think
year I
the
was just
answer
like,
to that's probably quite obvious.
you think, yeah, I don't
I don't
know.
know. I feel like who wants that kind of
The drama of it all.
messiness?
I
And
did
yeah.
message Dr. Leprechaun today, and I was like, are you going to this thing? Because I said it's not going to impact my decision, but I just want to know what I'm walking into.
And he answered, or
Not
okay.
yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. So we'll see.
Mm.
We'll circle back on it, but I don't know. It's just something I'm sitting on right now. I just wish I could wait until my period to make the decision, but I don't have that kind of time.
So where's the time pressure coming from?
Just like the booking, the thing. They're keeping
I
it.
see.
Yeah, the alumni get 2 weeks.
I can see the dilemma there. I can see that why that's a tough decision.
Yeah.
It's not just about, because I think my initial thought was they can just be the party group, but of course there's a lot of baggage that comes with it, especially if Dr. Leprechaun is going as well.
Yeah. And especially considering what the hell is happening right now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been hanging out with this group here in San Diego. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Of
Yeah.
course. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think we need to. So let's just get into it. So I messaged you this morning because I honestly am having a pretty rough emotional day. I'm having a pretty emotional, rough day. It's residual emotions from yesterday. Yesterday I had a pretty just rough day at work, and then with this, I don't know, friend/romantic interest. I need to come up with a name for this character, honestly. I don't have a name for him. I don't want to just call him Mr. San Diego. That seems so boring.
Have you seen Anchorman?
No.
Oh no, never mind. Because that's set in San Diego. I don't know.
I don't know. Should we just call him Mr. San Diego?
Sure.
Fine.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, whatever. So anyway, at work, I had a rough day at work yesterday. I made a mistake and I got reprimanded for it. It was a mistake. It wasn't huge, but it still just feels like it's adding on to the pile. It's a shame because things finally felt like they were calming down at work, and things finally felt like they were going smoothly at work. Yeah, it finally felt like things were going well, and then that deconstructive self-criticism really came up with making the mistake and getting reprimanded for it, and it just doesn't feel good. That happened yesterday, and the other thing that happened yesterday, which I haven't talked about this dynamic on the pod yet, and I've sent you voice messages about it because I was like, I don't want to talk about it on the pod yet, but this is what's happening. Essentially, there's this man that I have been crushing on for honestly over a year at this point, but pretty majorly since I've been in San Diego. And I met him around the same time that Dr. Leprechaun was back in my life, and they know each other, and it's like a whole thing. And he's in San Diego, so when I came out to San Diego, I reached out to everyone I knew, and he has been pretty much one of the only people who's been consistently hanging out with me. He's the only person I've been consistently hanging out with since I've been here, other than my aunt. And we talked about the 10-day rule, where I was like, got to break the 10-day rule, got to make sure, because he's I'm like crushing on him, and I want to make sure I like get to know this person. And we reached the 10-day mark, and on day 11, I have a handful of, the kids call them amber flags these days, handful of icks and amber flags that came up on day 11. So I was really glad I waited. And yeah, it's this person, this person's a friend and was crushing, and some amber flags came up, and
literally on day 11.
Literally on day 11. It was the craziest thing. And then we were driving back from this weekend trip we went on, and with a bunch of his friends, which was like the group of friends I was talking about in V News episode. And he suggested we hang out Wednesday. And I was like, he suggested what we were going to do, when we were going to do it. And I was like, yeah, like I finished work at 2, like I'm down, whatever. And yesterday was Wednesday. My ass got ready. My ass was ready to go. My ass was so excited. Like I talked about it in therapy. I was not intentionally going in to have the conversation of being like, hey, where do you stand with this whole thing? But I was like, if this comes up, I'm like down to talk about it. If this comes up naturally, like I think I can chat about it, because we've reached that 10-day mark. I do have feelings here. And if I hook up with this person, I'm going to catch very real feelings, because this is the first time ever that I've been attracted to someone based on our common interests as opposed to just chemistry. So every single thing that was coming out of this guy's mouth, I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize how similar we were. This is crazy. And day 11, all these amber flags come up. And then yesterday, I'm waiting around. And I feel like such a fucking fool, because I got ready and this man never texted me to hang out. And it was
so. You had a plan? As in not a plan, but it was a date. As in you had it, there was a day and time set that something was happening, but you just didn't know what.
No time. No. It was a day and an activity, but no time.
Right. Okay.
So it was like oh yeah, like I have to double check my schedule, but like Wednesday we should go do this thing after work. And I was like, okay, yeah, sounds great. And then never heard from him. Did not hear from him yesterday. Here's the thing that got me though, because if it was just a friend, I would have texted him and be like, hey, are we still hanging? Are we still hanging out? But because this is like a crush, and because this is someone I'm like was considering, I was like, I'm going to wait and see what he does, because I'm going to wait. And then nothing happened. So I'm just like, I felt stuck there. And honestly, today I've just been, and I did my best to turn it around. I was like, okay, the universe did not want me to go out. I ended up going out with one of my housemates and getting pizza. And I hung out with some of my housemates, and then I came back and watched this amazing episode of my favorite podcast, which I turned the night around. Like I made the best out of the night. So I feel good about that. I wasn't wallowing in my fucking room. But today I feel like I'm wallowing. Today I'm just like, because all of these emotions are coming up, and it's like grief of, I don't feel like I'm just grieving this like crush. I feel like I'm grieving my romance life in general today. And also on top of it, like with this deconstructive criticism with work, and like having a rough day at work yesterday. And today feeling iffy about it all. It's like I'm really going through a lot emotionally, and just I know there are lessons here, and I know there's a reason here, but I'm also being like, I don't know what that is right now. All I know is that I feel disappointed and sad, so I'm just crying today. And Danny, I was actually voice messaging Danny today, and he said this like gorgeous quote. He was like, I don't know the lesson because I haven't finished the class yet. And I was like, oh my God, so genius. Because yeah, I don't know the lesson. I don't know the reason behind all of this because I haven't finished the fucking class yet. But I'm just like really processing through all of this emotionally, and I feel sad and disappointed. And I'm not going to see this person over the weekend because I know he's busy. And I'm just like confused because this is the first time that like something like that's happened. And I don't know. I don't want to play games, but I feel like I'm playing games and I'm just like blah, 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 blah. Anyway, though that's what's happening.
Mm. Yeah, interesting. It's a tough one. I think from a man's perspective, from a straight man's perspective, I've done that before. And it's a weird, would you say that is he like a confident guy? Is he extroverted, introverted?
Yeah, he leans extroverted. It
Okay.
seems extroverted. This is the first time like I've
Mm.
experienced something like that with him. He's always been like he's initiated plans, he's followed up. It's been easy with him up until this point.
Yeah, as I say, from a man's perspective, I have done this before, but bear in mind, I kind of swing between extrovert, introvert, and it tends to be I'll make a loose plan, so a day and an activity, exactly what you've just described, and then the day will come, and I'll be like, ah, I can't really be bothered, and it's usually because I've been out the night before, or I don't feel particularly well or feel particularly confident,
Yeah.
and I wait. And if they text me, if the person texts me, then I'll pull through, then I'll do it. I won't cancel. But if they don't text me, I won't text them. And then the plan doesn't happen. And both people, and then my excuse has always been neither of us texted each other. And if they wanted to do it, they would have texted me.
But are these
Um,
friends or are these potential romantic interests?
both,
Oh,
both.
interesting.
I've
Okay.
done, obviously not anymore. I wouldn't do that to Savita
Right.
if you're listening. But yeah, it's happened to both. And actually, it was a very common occurrence when I was dating because I don't know if you remember, I was dating a lot and I was going out on 3 dates in a row, and then the fourth one would come and I'd feel just tired and hungover from 3 nights before. And I would do exactly that. I would do exactly, and I'm not saying he's been on 3 dates in a row,
Yeah.
but I'm not saying that this is what's happened, but this is just from my perspective. That's what it looks like. But you haven't heard from him since.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Which is weird.
strange.
That's weird. And I would be reluctant from your position to make the first contact, understandably. Um, but it's hurtful. It's upsetting and it's mean, especially with the amount that you've been connecting with him since
Yeah.
you've been there, and how he's almost like being a bit of a rock for you socially since you've been in San Diego.
Yeah.
It's not good behavior. So forget about amber flags. That's a pretty major
Red.
red flag. And I
Yeah.
would say that about myself. Even if what he's doing is different to what I did when I did it / when I do it, it's a red flag. It is, absolutely.
Yeah. My thing is if the guy wants to hang out with me and he has up until this point, if the person wants to hang out with you, they're going to fucking hang out with you, especially if it's a potential romantic interest. As like a woman, like if the guy wants to hang out with me, he's going to fucking hang out with me. And he has up until this point. It's always,
Mm.
and that's, I felt so good when we were on our drive back and he's like, yeah, let's hang out Wednesday. And I'm like, oh, he has a plan. He has a day. Okay. He wants to see me. Okay, great. And then nothing. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I think it's more like grief too, because there were other amber flags that I talked to you about in the voice message, which I'm not going to get in here, but there were like
Yeah.
2.5 amber flags that I saw. And you were like, oh, they don't look great. But I think with this last one, I was like, oh, is it 3 strikes,
Yeah.
you're out? Am I kind of like, now I need to put this person explicitly in the friend category because I do want to still be friends with this person. I still want to be friends
There's
with
no
this
harm in
person.
that.
There's no
Yeah.
harm in that because it's like we share so many interests. We have mutual friends. He's a really cool person. Like, really love hanging out with this person. And he does inspire me. And I really relate to him in a lot of ways. So it's okay. I guess I need to put him strictly in the friend category. But now I feel like I'm grieving this crush because I like started to I hate to be like I started romanticizing him, but like I did.
Of course you did. Of course you did. And you had a crush, and you're naturally going to romanticize that. But I would also say, I know we're not going to get into what they were,
Yeah.
but I would say at least one of those amber flags was a pretty major red flag, actually, which I did say to you at the time. But
You said it.
so I think, listen, the warning signs are there, in more ways than just this. And I feel like I say this all the time when we talk about things on this podcast, but things happen for a reason. And trust in the universe, trust in the signs from the universe. that are pointing you in a certain direction. Sounds like you could be a great friend from where I'm sitting, from what you told me over the last few days. It doesn't sound like really there's much potential for romantic interest there.
No, I thought there was, but there's
Yeah, well,
not.
me too, based on what you were saying originally, it sounded really good. And I said that to you. I was like, it sounds great. Fucking go for it. Delve yourself into it.
Yeah.
But
Day
I
11.
feel
What do you know?
day 11, what are the chances? Is so funny.
It's
Not funny because it's made you sad now, but
No, but it's crazy. Like literally day 1 through 10, my swooniness was just off the charts. I even called Mary. I called Mary twice. And for anyone who hasn't listened, go back and listen to the Mary episode. We're obsessed with her. But I called Mary twice and she's Sasha, I've never heard you swoony over a man because of common shared interest. You're calling me just because you're fucking swoony. And she's, I've never seen you like this before. She's like, you've done some crazy shit and you're swooning over a shoulder touch. Shut the fuck up. What is happening?
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And she feels different, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And then I'm just like, day 11, boom. Like day 1 through 10. So into it, day 11, I was like, all these red and amber flags are coming up. And I'm like, okay, I guess he's.
Well, I think you need to keep the 10-day rule then. It's a sign from the universe that you're meant to have this 10-day rule, and it's going to point you in the right direction.
Just going to meet the love of my life and understand he's the one on day 11. Is that what's going to happen?
Exactly. Or maybe make it 12 days.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's solid. That's
Honestly,
a good amount of time.
Yeah, I guess, because it's every time before. It's just been jumping into it. So yeah, I don't know. It's just been emotionally pretty rough, just like sitting and dealing with my feelings and like crying and being okay with sitting and dealing with my feelings. Because like
But you are grieving something, even though it was very new, and you are still, nothing happened, but you are still grieving something. Something's happened.
Yeah.
The loss of a connection in a way. Yes, you haven't necessarily lost him as a friend. That connection that you thought might have been there. Yeah, grief is such an interesting thing that we've spoken about over the last few months or last year and a half or so.
Yeah.
About grief, because I never thought about grief in that way. I always thought grief was when someone dies, but I've seen it since we've started talking about it. I've seen it in so many areas of both of our lives and other people's lives, about the depth and the complexity of grief and how many different places it can appear in.
Yeah.
It's not just the loss of someone who dies. It's not just the loss of a long-term relationship. It comes in so many forms.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It comes in so many forms, and just like allowing myself to process through it and allowing myself to feel it is something I have to do. And it's painful and it's crazy because I haven't felt like I've been dealing with waves of grief over, obviously, Monsieur Soixante Six and my ex and Dr. Leprechaun and whatever. And I'm like used to it, but I haven't dealt with something new in a while. So I'm glad I'm protecting my heart, but it's still painful to go through. And I'm like, ugh.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm not feeling great. Not feeling great today. But you know what? I didn't even start with the good stuff. I will say physical health is going great. Friends are going great. I'm cleared to work out again. So I've been working out every single day, which has been awesome. Those 2 areas are feeling great. I was going to start with the positive, but I didn't because we just kind of jumped into it. But yeah, just kind of like going through it right now. And
which is okay. It happens. And I think I've identified that. And again, we've probably spoken about this on the podcast before. Things could be going really, really good, and life could be feeling great every single day. And then one day something will happen, or something doesn't even have to happen, but you'll suddenly feel like shit.
yeah.
And that's the natural human roller coaster. It's the natural human ride. I fully acknowledge when things are going really well, I'm almost mentally, subconsciously preparing for a bad day. Because it happens. So it's tough when it does happen, especially when you've been having fun and life has been feeling good, but you've got to just let yourself feel it.
Yeah, that's the intention. That's the plan. Just feel it to heal it, baby. Just cry into my work.
So I was also going to say on the work thing.
Yeah.
Because we moved on very quickly from that.
Yeah.
It's something that I've learned to deal with recently because I'm leaving my job. I'll be serving notice probably next week, actually, if things go well. And in the build up to that, I think laziness has crept in and mistakes and attention to detail just haven't been there. I've been told off a few times in the last couple of weeks, and I've deserved it, fully deserved it. It's been my own fault, and I haven't been at the top of my game. And it's not a nice feeling. And I think the question that you have to ask yourself, and it's what I've been doing, and it helps because I'm leaving the company anyway. But I think it's no different in your situation, is will this matter in a month? Will I be thinking about this telling off this mistake in a month or 2 months? And if the answer is no, then it shouldn't bother you that much, right? I
Yeah.
mean, again, it isn't very natural, very easy to let it bog you down, especially when you're very proud of your work, especially in that circumstance. But
Yeah.
yeah, if it's not a job threatening telling off, then
It's not job threatening, but I just feel like it's compounded off of all the other
of
stuff
course,
that's been
yeah,
happening, and it finally feels like it's calmed down in the last 2 weeks. It's felt like it's calmed down. But from what, Halloween, end of October through 2 weeks ago, it's been like almost 4 months of just feeling not great. And it's like the comments that were made months ago are still getting me now. I'm doing my
mm,
best, but is this one still going to bother me? I don't know. I don't know. I'm doing my best to be like, okay, how can I improve and grow from this without being really, really hard on myself? But it's difficult.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course, yeah, especially I didn't even think about the fact that these comments could have compounded, and as someone who works really hard and is very proud of their work, but also you really like the company you're working for, right? And you really
Yeah.
believe in the product.
Yeah.
I think it stings even more. We spoke about it a while ago. I think this is a big year for you in terms of with the podcast and seeing where that goes and really building on that. I think it's a very exciting year. And I think you've just got to focus on where the good is, where the gratitude can be found in what you're doing at the moment and what's coming up in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. It's okay. Don't get distracted by boys. Fucking double down on work, double down on this, worry about boys later. The right man will be there when it
Yeah.
is the right time. And I'll
Yeah,
probably
but
know on day
that's
12.
absolutely. Yeah, exactly, exactly. No, but that's also a really good point about how, again, we're talking about signs of the universe and how everything comes together. And with what happened yesterday, is it a sign that you just need to knuckle down and not be thinking about boys too much at the moment?
Yeah, and I haven't been. Like I've been so
No.
focused on my own thing for what, like since December. Like I've just haven't been talking to anybody. So it's been like 2, 3 months now that I haven't talked to anybody really, or I haven't had anyone there are obviously people in the DMs, right? But I'm like not entertaining any of them. It's just this is the first time I haven't been wrapped around a boy in a long time. And it's this is why. This is why they're fucking distracting.
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus.
So are girls, but just relationship and feelings is distracting.
Yeah, feelings are very interesting. But anyway, yeah, I'm just trying to find this balance between learning from the mistake, moving on, growing, and then not being too hard on myself and just like allowing myself to, okay, feel the feelings, but then also, is there anything I can do to change, to improve?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
best you can do.
I think so. Anyway, we've spent so much of this time talking about me, which thank you for allowing me the space to
Of course.
be here because I was going through it and I still am going
That's
through
what
it. I
we're here
still
for.
feel it. It's literally why we're here. But like, what's happening with you? How's it going? What's going on?
We spoke, what, a few days ago with Vinu, and I've just been feeling extremely chaotic. I've never had this before, and it's an interesting time to record actually, because I just spoke to Savita about it earlier, and I was curious to get your perspective on this. I think from a lot of my career, especially in the last few years, like 2, 3 years, I have worked really hard in the morning. I get all of my kind of regular career 9 to 5 work done in the morning, usually before lunchtime, like 1 o'clock. And then the afternoon, I just doss around. Like I watch YouTube, I watch Netflix, I spend time on social media scrolling, doing unproductive things. Now, finally, over the last month or so, I've been working on stuff. And so I'd say for the last 3 weeks in particular, 3 weeks, I've been doing my work in the morning, and then the afternoons I've got this journal with my habit tracker, and I want to cross off everything on my habit tracker. And then on the same page, I've got my weekly goals, so I need to work on those. And then on the same page, I've got my to-do list, so I need to work on that. So I spend my morning doing my 9 to 5 work, and then my afternoon doing all of that stuff. And it means that I'm not spending any downtime at the moment. I have maybe 10 minutes where I'll put YouTube on while I eat lunch, literally while I eat. And then the rest of it, I'm doing things, and I'm trying to tick things off on my list. And by the end of the day, I just feel so not stressed, just chaotic. And my head just feels like all over the place and fried, and really anxious that I'm not doing enough. And it gets to the evening, it gets to like 5, 6 p.m. and I'm just so tired and so brain fried from everything I've been doing from 9 a.m. up until that point, that I don't want to spend the evening doing anything. And then I feel guilty in the evening that I'm not doing anything and that I should be working, but my brain just won't function at that point. So it's interesting actually identifying why I feel so chaotic. And I think it's because my brain just isn't used to working all day like this, and it hasn't done this for a very long time. And it's getting used to it. It's a learning process, but I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. It really doesn't feel. I literally sat down at the end of my day today, and I FaceTimed Savita, and I was all over the place. And then as I just sat down, I was like, I'm going to leave my phone in a different room. I'm just going to sit down with my computer and FaceTime and just focus on Savita for 30 minutes, an hour.
Yeah.
And I felt my brain slowly coming back to earth. Just as I sat there, just talking to her, listening to her, I just felt suddenly like everything calmed down, and all the voices, the million different voices in my head, just suddenly go quiet. But how do you counter that? Like, how do you actually deal with that?
Honestly, I think it's scheduling in the same way that you scheduled in in the same way you scheduled in sitting down and having a nice chat with Savita. It's scheduling in your joy and your rest time. Because I went through something. I've always been a crazy person working like this. I can't tell you the last time I didn't do these kinds of days. But I had the realization yesterday that I'm pulling like at least 12-hour days every day. 6 a.m. till 6 p.m., sometimes later, and then having 2 hours in the evening to chill out, do whatever. But then it's like scheduling in, okay, are you scheduling in your movement time? Are you scheduling in some joy time? Are you scheduling in some rest time? And it doesn't matter like how much that is and what that looks like, but making sure you're actually balancing out the hard work with the enjoyment, because if you're not doing both, you're going to burn yourself out. It might be strategic planning and scheduling out your day depending on what works best for you. Like, when does your mind work best? When do you need to put in the body movement? I'd say put in your joy or your rest time for the evening after, as like kind of reward, and after you've done all of the work. That way it's like something to look forward to, but then also you can like decompress after your day. But I would schedule in like rest time, not just rot time, no scroll time. So it's an inherent difference there, and I'd schedule it in, because it's like if you know you're dead by the end of the day, like just schedule in the rest and the joy for the evening, and then maybe the movement for the morning, like whatever makes sense. Or if you need the movement to like also decompress from your day too, I'd say play around with restructuring your day so that you're not wearing yourself to the bone. And also I do think it is like a muscle to be able to work these kinds of hours. A lot of people can't do it. That's why a lot of people only do their 9 to 5, is because they don't have the bandwidth or energy or inspiration or whatever to keep going. Anyway, we'll catch you guys next week on Mastermind Moments. Thanks for listening into our heavily chaotic episode. Who the fuck knows how that we are. And we'll see you next week. Bye, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow along on social media.
If you would like us to help you mastermind something in your life, please send us a message.
We'll see you next week on the Mastermind Moments podcast.